Welcome back to Liberty Ledger Crypto, where we dive into the stories behind rare coins, lost treasures, and the hidden gems in your pocket change. In today's video, we're unlocking the secrets of some of the most expensive United States quarter-dollar coins, specifically from the years 1977, 1984, and 1989. You may think these coins are common, but under the surface, certain rare errors and conditions have made them worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars. Whether you're a new collector, an investor, or just curious about what might be sitting in your change jar, this video is for you. Let's begin with the 1977 Washington quarter. At first glance, this coin doesn't seem unusual. It was minted in large numbers, over 468 million in Philadelphia alone. However, a small number 1,977 quarters have become incredibly valuable due to rare mint errors and pristine conditions. What makes these quarters special is not just age, but mistakes, mechanical errors during minting that escape the quality control process. Some 1977 quarters have been discovered with off-center strikes, double dies, and even missing mint marks. These types of errors are incredibly rare and fetch a premium from collectors. One example includes a 1977 quarter with a 15% off-center strike that sold for over $250. But that's just the beginning. In MS67 or higher condition, with no scratches, perfect luster, and sharp details, a 1977 quarter can sell for up to $1,200 or more at auction. Now, let's talk about the types of errors that make the 1977 quarter particularly desirable. The first is the double die obverse, where the details on Washington's profile and the lettering appear slightly duplicated. This happens when the coin die is misaligned during production. Although fewer examples are known, collectors are always on the lookout for these. Another rare error is the clip planchet, where a section of the coin is missing, making it look as if it were bitten off. Coins with this error can fetch prices upwards of $300 to $500, depending on severity. The most valuable 1977 quarters are those graded by PCGS or NGC in near-perfect MS67 condition or higher. These coins often show no signs of wear and boast beautiful natural toning, pushing their value over $1,000. Next, let's move to the 1984 quarter. Over 676 million of these were minted, but again, a tiny percentage have become worth much more than their face value. Like the 1977 coin, most 1984 quarters are only worth face value in circulated condition. However, some rare errors and high-grade examples have made waves in coin auctions. In fact, some 1984 quarters with pristine mint state grading, specifically MS67 or MS68, have sold for over $1,400. Why? Because finding a quarter from 1984 that still looks like it was just minted yesterday is nearly impossible. These high-grade coins are the exception, not the rule. Let's dive deeper into the types of 1984 quarter errors that increase their value. One standout is a double die reverse, with a word e pluribus unum and quarter dollar show clear signs of doubling. These kind of errors are particularly attractive to error coin collectors and can sell for several $100s. Another interesting error is the broad strike, where the coin was struck without the collar that shapes its edge. This results in a stretched, flat look. These coins are valued not just for the error, but also for their scarcity. A broad-struck 1984 quarter in mint state can easily be worth over $300 to $400. And then, of course, there are full-step examples. Coins with every detail of Washington's profile and the reverse eagle clearly struck. These are very rare in 1984 quarters and can dramatically raise a coin's value when found. Finally, let's talk about the 1989 quarter. More than 1.1 billion quarters were minted that year, which might make it seem like there's nothing rare about it. But just like the other years, rare errors and condition rarity can turn this everyday coin into something special. The most valuable 1989 quarters come from extremely limited error runs, or are examples preserved in near-perfect condition. In MS67 condition or above, a 1989 P or D quarter can sell for $600 to $1,200 or more at auction. A perfect MS-68 example once sold for over $2,000, showing just how much condition matters. Among the most interesting errors from 1989 are off-metal strikes. Coins accidentally struck on planchets meant for nickels or foreign currency. These types of mint errors are extremely rare and, when authenticated, can sell for thousands of dollars. A known 1989 quarter struck on a copper-nickel dime planchet sold for over $1,500. Another error collectors look for is the die clash, where the dies strike each other without a planchet between them, leaving ghost-like impressions on the coin. Die clash quarters are not only fascinating, but can be worth hundreds, especially when uncirculated. Of course, don't overlook quarters with minor anomalies. If you have a 1989 quarter with unusual marks, a missing mint mark, or strange coloration, it's worth getting appraised or graded. What looks like damage might actually be a minting error. So, how can you tell if you have one of these valuable quarters? The key lies in inspection and grading. Start by looking at the coin's details. The edges, lettering, and luster. Is there anything unusual? Is the coin perfectly centered? Are any letters doubled? Next, check for any mint marks. Missing or misplaced mint marks can significantly raise a coin's value. A good magnifying glass or digital microscope is a must for coin collectors. Lastly, consider sending your coin to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. Grading not only authenticates the coin, but gives a numerical score that directly affects its market value. A raw quarter might be worth $20, but once graded at MS-67, it could be worth over $1,000. To wrap things up, while millions of 1977, 1984, and 1989 quarters were minted, only a select few carry significant value today. These coins prove that hidden treasures may be closer than you think, even in your pocket change. From dramatic mint errors to museum-grade conditions, the world of coin collecting is full of surprises. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of valuable quarters, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. And if you found a strange-looking quarter or have one of these years in high condition, drop a comment below. Who knows, you might be sitting on a small fortune. Thanks for watching Liberty Ledger Crypto. Stay sharp and happy hunting. Welcome to the NWO Video Liberty Laser Crypto. When we talk about rare and valuable coins in American numismatics, most minds jump straight to old silver dollars or the legendary 1943 copper penny. But today, we're zeroing in on something unexpected. The 1984 quarter dollar, a coin that at first glance looks entirely ordinary, yet has found its way into auctions and private collections for thousands of dollars. How can a relatively modern coin, made mostly of copper and nickel, carry such a high value? That's what we're here to uncover. Let's start with the basics. The 1984 D quarter was struck at the Denver Mint, and the D mint mark on the obverse of the coin indicates its origin. Over 546 million quarters were produced at the Denver Mint in 1984. That's an enormous number, which might lead one to believe these coins are common, even worthless beyond their face value. But like many things in numismatics, it's not just about the quantity minted. It's about the quality and the peculiarities that come with it. To understand the rarity and value of a 1984 D quarter, we must dive into the world of coin grading. Coins are graded based on their condition, ranging from poor to mint state MS. For the 1984 D quarter, those that survive in pristine, uncirculated condition are incredibly rare. Most entered circulation immediately and suffered the wear and tear of everyday use. Finding one that remained untouched, crisp, sharp, and flawless is nearly impossible today. That scarcity in high grade is what piques the interest of serious collectors. In the highest grades, especially those certified as MS-67 or higher by the Professional Coin Grading Service, PGS, or the Numismatic Guarantee Company, NGC, the 1984 D quarter becomes an entirely different beast. At these grades, we're not just talking about a coin in nice condition. We're talking about a coin with razor-sharp detail, gleaming luster, and virtually no marks. It's the best of the best. And that's where the price skyrockets. A standout example came to auction in recent years when in 1984, D Washington quarter graded MS-67 by PCGS sold for over $1,400. That's right, over $1,400 for a 25-cent piece. And that's not an isolated case. While the average circulated in 1984, D-quarter is worth no more than face value. The finest known examples can fetch a premium that makes even seasoned collectors do a double take. But there's more to the story. The 1984 D-quarter also has error varieties that dramatically increase its value. One of the most well-known is the double die obverse variety. This error occurs when the coin die itself has been improperly manufactured, creating a doubled image on certain features of the coin, most notably on Washington's profile, the date, or the word Liberty. Though rare, when these double die examples are found, they command serious attention and serious money from a numismatic community. Another notable error is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin blank or planchet is not properly seated in the coining press. As a result, part of the design is missing, and the coin appears to be shifted to one side. These can vary in value depending on how dramatic the error is. The more off-center and the more visible the date and mint mark, the better. And then there are clipped planchets, where a portion of the coin appears to be bitten off. These can also affect the value positively, especially when they come from known mints and production years. While clipped planchets are more a novelty than a treasure trove, in a popular year like 1984, and from the Denver Mint, they still hold collector appeal. Let's take a quick detour into the design itself. The Washington quarter has featured the same obverse portrait of George Washington since 1932, designed by John Flanagan. The reverse in 1984 still displayed the heraldic eagle, wings spread, perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches below. Though the design that lasted decades, subtle die wear and changes in minting technology through the years have created variations. Some sought after for the differences, intentional or not. Back to the Denver Mint. It's worth noting that the 1980s were not the golden era of quality control for coinage. Many coins in the decade show soft strikes, weak details, or die fatigue. That makes high-quality 1984 D-quarters all the more special. PCGS, for instance, has graded thousands of 1984 D-quarters over the years. Yet only a very small fraction earned that coveted MS 67 grade, and none have been graded higher as of this video's production. The marketplace for coins like this is dynamic. Online auction platforms like eBay, Heritage Auctions, and great collections routinely list modern quarters with significant prices, often determined by grade, error, or both. A collector looking to complete a registry set, a complete series of coins in the highest grades possible, might pay handsomely for a 1984 D-quarter if it fills a gap in a high-grade lineup. Let's not forget about toning, another factor that can affect a coin's value. Some coins acquire a beautiful, natural rainbow toning due to chemical reactions with their environment, usually with sulfur-based materials in coin holders or paper. A 1984 D-quarter with exceptional, vibrant toning and no surface damage could bring in hundreds, even if it's just graded MS 65 or MS 66. So, what should you look for if you think you have a valuable 1984 D-quarter? First, examine its condition. If it's heavily worn, chances are it's only worth its face value. But if it's sharp, shiny, and seems uncirculated, it might be worth submitting for grading. Next, check for errors, doubling, off-center strikes, or unusual shapes. And finally, consider toning or other unique characteristics that make your coin stand out. It's important to note that grading costs money, often between $20 and $50 per coin, so it's not worth submitting every quarter you find. But if you genuinely believe you have a standout example, the investment could pay off. And don't forget to use a reputable third-party grading service like PCGS or NGC if you go that route. Some collectors might be tempted to clean their coins in hopes of improving their appearance. This is a huge mistake. Cleaning can cause irreversible damage and instantly kill any numismatic value a coin might have had. Collectors and grading services want coins in their original, untouched condition, even if they look a bit dull or dirty. Now, you might be wondering, are there any known 1984 D-quarters worth more than $1,500? The answer is yes, but these are the rarest of the rare. For instance, if a double die or off-metal strike error was discovered and authenticated, especially in mint state condition, It could sell for several $1,000s. The numismatic world always keeps an eye out for new discoveries, so it's possible the next big find is still out there. In conclusion, the 1984 D quarter is a fascinating example of how a modern coin can carry significant value under the right circumstances. Whether it's due to flawless condition, rare errors, or registry-set demand, this humble Denver quarter has secured a unique place in American coin collecting lore. While most people will pass it by without a second thought, informed collectors know that certain 1984 D quarters are anything but ordinary. So the next time you receive change at the grocery store or clean out an old jar of coins, take a closer look at your quarters. That 1984 D might just be more valuable than you think. Who knows? You could. Welcome to the new video Liberty, Laser Crypto. When it comes to coin collecting, some of the most unexpected coins can carry immense value. Not because they're ancient or made of precious metals, but because of their rarity, unique features, or historical context. One such coin is a 1977 D quarter dollar, minted in Denver. On the surface, it seems like a completely ordinary coin, one that most Americans have handled countless times. However, some specific examples of the 1977 D quarter have been sold for staggering amounts of money, sometimes exceeding thousands of dollars, depending on their condition, error, features, and grade. In this video, we'll take a deep dive into why this particular coin, often overlooked, has earned such a spotlight in the numismatic community. Let's begin with a bit of background. The Washington quarter has been minted since 1932, originally to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington. It became so popular that it remained in continuous circulation, with only minor design updates over the decades. By 1977, the coin had a well-established identity. The obverse featured a left-facing profile of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan, while the reverse showed an eagle with outstretched wings perched on a bundle of arrows, a design also by Flanagan. In that year, 3 primary mint locations produced the quarter: Philadelphia, San Francisco, and Denver. The Denver mint coins were marked with small d beneath Washington's bust. Now, you might ask, what could make a 1977 D quarter dollar so valuable? After all, tens of millions were minted. In fact, the Denver Mint struck over 256 million quarter dollars in 1977. That's not a small number by any means. But the value comes not from the quantity, but from the quality and from the anomalies. Specific quarters from this batch, particularly those in mint state or exhibiting rare mint errors, have fetched eye-popping prices at auctions. Let's explore some of those factors in detail. One of the most important considerations is condition. In numismatics, the state of preservation is everything. Coins are graded on the Sheldon scale, which ranges from 1 poor to 70 perfect uncirculated condition. Most 1977 D quarters in circulation are well worn. However, a few examples in MS-67 or MS-68 condition, that's mint state 67 or 68, are extremely rare. These are coins that show no signs of wear, have sharp details, and exhibit vibrant luster. Collectors are often willing to pay a premium for these top-tier examples because they're so hard to find. In 2016, an MS-67 1977 D quarter sold at auction for nearly $1,500. Since then, demand has grown, and similar specimens have been known to sell for even more. But there's another element at play: mint errors. These are accidental anomalies that occur during the minting process, and some are so unique that they make the coin one of a kind. Among 1977 D quarters, several error types have become legendary among collectors. For instance, off-center strikes, where the image is misaligned to the edge of the coin, are highly prized. Then there are double dies, which result in a visible doubling of the design elements, most notably the lettering or date. A double die obverse or reverse can transform a common coin into a small fortune. One especially interesting error to look for in the 1977 D series is a clipped planchet, where a portion of the coin is missing due to an error in the blanking process. These clipped coins are often seen with clean, curved edges that are unmistakably abnormal. Another rare error is the broad strike, where the coin is struck outside of the collar, resulting in a flatter, wider shape than usual. While these mistakes were originally seen as undesirable, they have now become the very things that can send a coin's value skyrocketing. Another layer of value is added when a coin is authenticated and certified by a reputable grading service, like the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or the Numismatic Guarantee Company, NGC. Coins that have been graded and encapsulated in tamper-proof holders are more trusted in the market and often sell for significantly more. This is particularly true for high-grade or error 1977 D quarters. A PCGS MS-68 quarter with an unusual strike error might sell for several $1,000s today, especially if it has attractive toning or other visually appealing characteristics. It's also important to consider the historical context. By the late 1970s, America was undergoing significant economic and cultural changes. Inflation was high, the Cold War was ongoing, and the country was recovering from the aftershocks of Watergate and Vietnam. Coins from this era are often overlooked, but they represent a fascinating period in U.S. history. The 1977 D quarter is a reminder of the everyday economy of that time. For collectors, this adds a certain nostalgic and historic allure. Over the years, specific 1977, D quarters have become the stars of online marketplaces and auction houses. Some sales have shocked even veteran numismatists. In 2021, for example, a 1977 D quarter with unique struck through error, a foreign object interfered with the coin press during minting, sold for over $4,000. These kinds of finds fuel the imaginations of hobbyists and everyday people alike, who check their pocket change hoping to stumble across a hidden gem. It's this hope, this thrill of discovery, that keeps coin collecting alive and thriving. Anyone can find a rare 1977 D quarter in their spare change or inherit one from an old collection. The key is know what to look for. Start by checking the overall condition. Is the coin crisp and free from wear? Next, examine the coin closely for any abnormalities. A magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe is essential. Pay special attention to the lettering, mint mark, and date. If anything looks off, such as doubling, misalignment, or missing elements, you could have something valuable. There's also the matter of toning. Some 1977 D quarters have developed beautiful natural patinas over time, especially those stored in certain environments. This toning can range from subtle golds and blues to vibrant purples and greens. While not all tone coins are valuable, those with attractive and even coloration often command premiums from collectors who appreciate aesthetics as much as rarity. Beyond errors in grading, provenance can also influence a coin's value. Coins with known history, especially those from famous collections, are often considered more desirable. A 1977 D quarter that once belonged to a prominent numismatist or came from a well-documented estate sale can fetch higher prices simply due to its story. One of the most important takeaways from this discussion is that not all valuable coins are old or gold or silver. Some of them, like the 1977 D quarter, are modern, copper-nickel-clad coins you'd find in your pocket. Their value comes from rarity and condition, the presence of minting errors, and demand from collectors. As the collector base grows and more people take interest in numismatics, prices for these rarities are likely to rise. So, what should you do if you think you have a rare 1977 D quarter? First, handle it carefully, preferably with gloves, and avoid cleaning it, as this can drastically reduce its value. Photograph it in good lighting and compare it to online resources or error coin databases. Then, consider sending it to a professional grading service. Even if your coin turns out to be worth a modest amount, the process of discovery can be incredibly rewarding. Collectors today are better connected than. In the vast world of numismatics, few coins stand out like the 1989 D Washington quarter dollar when it comes to the fusion of historical importance, rarity, and staggering value at auction. While millions of these coins were struck at the Denver Mint, only a handful possess the traits that elevate them into the realm of elite collectibles. For most Americans, the 1989 D quarter is simply spare change in their pockets. But for coin collectors, one specific version of this coin has reached legendary status for commanding an exceptionally high price on the open market. The Washington quarter has been a staple of American currency since 1932, created initially to commemorate the bicentennial of George Washington's birth. By the time the 1989 D quarter was struck, it had already enjoyed over half a century in circulation. However, the Denver Mint's 1989 production introduced a coin that, under the right conditions and with specific characteristics, could be worth thousands of dollars. This was due to a combination of minting anomalies, condition rarity, and collector demand. Most 1989 D quarters were struck in the millions, over 896 million, to be exact, making it a very common date for the series. But as in all things collectible, rarity isn't always about the number minted. It's about the number that survive in pristine, mint state condition or with unique errors. This is where the story of the most expensive 1989 D quarter begins. In top-grade mint state 68 condition, certified by PCGS or NGC, the 1989 D quarter becomes incredibly scarce. Only a handful are known to exist in this grade, and their value can skyrocket because collectors aggressively compete for the finest examples. The most expensive known sale of a 1989 D Washington quarter occurred when an MS-68 specimen was sold for a staggering sum, around $3,000 in a public auction. While this might not sound extreme compared to some six-figure coins, for a modern-era circulating coin made of base metals, this price is significant. It's the highest grade ever awarded to this issue, and no known MS-69 specimens have been verified, making this the pinnacle for those pursuing registry sets or simply wanting the best of the best. What drives a modern coin like the 1989 D quarter to such high values? One primary factor is condition rarity. While it's easy to find these quarters in pocket change or coin rolls, almost all of them have some degree of wear, contact marks, or dull luster. A coin that emerges in MS-68 condition is almost flawless, sharply struck, with radiant luster and nearly perfect surfaces. These coins are almost always found in original Federal Reserve rolls or mint sets, and even then, finding one in such high grade is a lottery-like scenario. Another aspect that contributes to the desirability of this quarter is the lack of proof or silver issues in 1989. Unlike some other years where special strikes or precious metal variants are available, the 1989 D only exists in standard clad copper-nickel format. That means collectors must turn to the business strikes if they want anything remarkable from this year. This puts even more focus on high-grade business strikes like the record-setting MS-68 example. Then there's the matter of error coins, 1989 D quarters with minting mistakes. While not as famous as other error coins like the 1955 double-die Lincoln cent or the 2004 Wisconsin extra leaf quarter, certain 1989 D quarters exhibit interesting features like off-center strikes, broad strikes, or clip planchets. One particular 1989 D quarter was discovered with a dramatic double strike and sold for several $100s, proof that mint errors, when combined with condition and demand, can lead to surprising value even for relatively modern coins. Collectors who specialize in the Washington Quarter series often aim to build registry sets, competitive collections graded by top services like PCGS and NGC. These sets are ranked by average grade, and competition is fierce. The difference between owning an MS-67 and an MS-68 can mean jumping several ranks on the leaderboard. That intense competition drives up prices for the few MS-68 coins that come up for sale, and the 1989 D is no exception. Beyond condition and errors, the story of this quarter is also rooted in its era. The late 1980s were not considered particularly glamorous in terms of coin design or minting technology. The U.S. Mint was still decades away from the 50 state quarters program, and public interest in collecting had waned since its 1960s heyday. Because of this, far fewer collectors saved coins from circulation during this time, especially not with the intention of preserving them in pristine condition. That's why it's incredibly rare today to find a 1989 D quarter that hasn't been knocked around by decades of use. The rise in value of coins like the 1989 D quarter also reflects broader trends in the numismatic market. As baby boomers and Gen Zers begin to downsize or pass on their collections, younger collectors are entering the hobby. Many of these newer collectors are focused on modern coins because they're more accessible and easy to understand. The result is a growing demand for high-grade modern issues, and the 1989 D quarter sits right at the intersection of affordability and exclusivity. When a coin like this appears in an auction catalog, it often sets off a bidding war among advanced collectors. The competition is fierce because everyone knows the opportunity might not arise again for years. And because grading is subjective at the highest levels, it's extremely difficult to find another raw coin and hope it will achieve the same lofty grade. That's what makes the top-grade examples so precious. They are known quantities, already certified and encapsulated, and they carry the weight of market trust. In some cases, provenance can also influence price. If a coin was previously owned by a famous collector or comes from a notable hoard, it might command a premium even beyond its grade. The most expensive 1989 D quarter was not only in superb condition, but also had a pedigree linking it to a renowned registry builder, which only added to its appeal. Collectors crave these stories. They don't just buy a coin, they buy the history and the journey that comes with it. It's also important to recognize the role of third-party grading in establishing the value of coins like the 1989 D quarter. Before PCGS and NGC brought standardized grading to the market, coin values were far more subjective and inconsistent. Today, these services provide confidence to both buyers and sellers, and their population reports reveal just how scarce top-graded coins really are. When you see that only a handful of MS-68 1989 D quarters exist out of tens of thousands submitted, the scarcity becomes clear. So how can the average person spot a valuable 1989 D quarter? First, look at the coin's overall condition. Any sign or word disqualifies it from mint state status. The highest value coins must be virtually flawless. Luster is critical. It should shine like it was just struck. Next, use a magnifying glass to check for contact marks or scratches. Even one blemish can drop a coin from MS-68 to MS-67 or lower. If you think you've found a gem, consider sending it to a reputable grading company. The cost of grading is a small investment if your coin ends up being a top-tier example. While most 1989 D quarters you encounter won't be worth more than face value, there's always the thrill of the hunt. Stories of pocket change turning into $1,000